Greetings, everyone. Um, I am the Moon Mama. I am the Moon Mama. I am the co-facilitator of a community called Follow the Sun, which is a community that I created with other women and one other man to assist people who are interested in transforming their trauma into magic. That is what my devotion is. My devotion is really assisting more specifically women, because I feel like that's what we need in the world. We need women to wake up and remember who they really are. And when women wake up, that will naturally affect men, and they will begin to wake up too, because men follow us, not the other way around. But I wanted to come in today to talk a little bit about this moving into the age of Aquarius and how important it is for us to be able to transmute our past experiences. I am on TikTok a day or so ago. There was this story about this little baby named Zoe, and this man came on, and a white gay couple, but the man came on and asked a question: how should he take care of this baby's hair? And maybe the baby is a week old. The baby is very much a baby. And the baby doesn't need much now, right, as far as its hair being taken care of. But it sort of started a fire on TikTok, because people were saying, he's using this baby to get TikTok likes. He's using this baby for his notoriety. He's like got a black baby to like make him famous, basically. And when I saw the video of him, I thought that also. I was like, wow, this is a really interesting thing that's happening. But what took my attention was the fact that no matter what this man is doing, there is an infant, a baby, that is involved in this. And so immediately my energy goes towards praying for the baby and knowing that babies are fucking powerful. It is such an interesting thing when you start to realize how energy works and begin to realize that babies are fully developed souls. Babies are fully developed souls in infant bodies. And so if you've had a baby, or you remember being a baby, like I remember being a baby, you're this consciousness in this body that can't do anything. If you remember that, like you are completely aware of your environment, but you don't know how to use your brain. You don't know how to use your body. You have to grow into this energy. And by the time you finally really get some awareness of how to use your body and things, that consciousness has begun to kind of dissipate, because you've been in an environment for so long that begins to supersede the purity of your energy. So one of the things that I have learned in my own healing journey is that the Creator never makes a mistake. And I was born into an environment that was very subject. That was, oh my God. Like when I think about the environment I was born into, I almost don't know how I survived. I really don't. But I did, because I'm here and I survived. You know what I mean? Like, watching my father beat my mother often, the crack epidemic of the 80s. I grew up in Watts, and so I watched all my friends go sell drugs, and then I watched them go to jail. I watched people be murdered. I would be at parties, and then I would leave the party, and the next day find out that 3 people got shot, and my best friend was like, I grew up in the midst of what a hellish type experience. And I want to say the thing that helped me the most was people who didn't feel sorry for me. People who didn't feel like I needed to be rescued. Those were the people who were the most helpful. Now, the circumstances were so desperate and challenging that I often felt like I wanted somebody to save me and rescue me. And so that looked like Jesus or a man or like somebody come rescue me from the depths of this suffering and despair that I see going on around me and that I'm actually experiencing myself. But the people who helped me the most were people who cheered for me, who prayed for me to be strong, people who taught me, people who gave me tools, not people who pitied me, not people who felt sorry for me, and not people who were triggered by my experience. People who were triggered by my experience and who felt sorry for me or felt like, oh, they actually did more harm than good. And it was the ones who actually were like, oh, you're smart, Monique, so let me teach you this. It was those people that actually helped me save my own life, helped me determine how I was going to free myself from the circumstances of the conditions that I was born into. Because what I want people to know is that everything in America is predatory. Everything. There is nothing here that is not happening because there is some exchange. And like, I remember when I was little and my grandmother went to go get like food stamps for me or something like that and discovered that my mother was already getting a welfare check. And my mother wasn't taking care of me. My mother was off doing whatever she was doing, but she was collecting money from me every month like she was, right? But that was a predatory thing. Like my mother was using the power of being a mother, but she wasn't doing what she should have been doing with it. My grandmother was doing that job. And so, I was surrounded by people who were predatory in nature. That is very much the system upon which America is birthed. That is the way of America. And if we don't tell ourselves the truth about, that everything costs here and that money has a tendency can make people do very desperate, greedy things in order to survive or sustain themselves. And they will use children, they will use whomever and whatever they can if that is what they're up to, right? So it was my ability to learn how to see people for who they really were. It was my ability to learn how to determine who I was. And I did a lot of ugly things. I used to steal. I used to lie. I used to do all sorts of stuff navigating the environment I was in. And it wasn't until I realized that, oh, these behaviors are co-creative. Like if I lie once, I'm gonna have to lie again. If I do this over here, I'm gonna have to do I had to realize that my energy and my power was really creative, and I was either gonna end up like everybody who was around me, who was going to jail and getting pregnant. I was either going to end up that way, or I was going to make a new determination about my own self. I was going to have to decide that I wanted to fight for my life because nobody could do it for me. And so my point is, the people who helped me the most were the people who actually believed in me. The people who actually taught me, the people who actually saw me, the people who actually felt something in me beyond the conditions that I came from. And so right now, the world is super fucking chaotic. It is a crazy ass world. People are losing their shit. Like, it is not going to get better before it gets more challenging, because more light is coming into our solar system. Like, the sun is bringing more light in, and what more light does is it highlights the shadow. When more light comes in, the brighter the light, the deeper the shadow that is cast. So it's going to take, for people who are awakening, who are people who have some awareness of what's happening. It's going to take people who have some awareness of what's happening, who have some insight, some foresight, a perception to see beyond the actual egoic experience. It's going to take those people to be able to hold the high watch. I'm sorry, my nose is running, y'all. It's going to take those people to be able to hold the high watch, to be able to look and say, okay, this person needs strength. This person needs courage. What can I do? Where am I courageous? Do I need strength? We're going to have to be asking deeper questions, or we're going to stay at the effect of the problem. There's that quote by Einstein that says, you can't solve the problem at the level that the problem was created. So it's going to take people who have a greater perspective to realize that if we are in a predatory system where people are feeding off of other people and using their children and all sorts of dark energies, how can we heal that in ourselves so that we don't land in those experiences and begin to perpetrate the same kind of noise? Just like we realize now that marching and protesting in America never really made a difference, because it was at the level of the problem. Like, now we can look back 50 years and realize that Martin Luther King's dream and all that protesting didn't do shit. The communities are still divided. The prisons, it didn't help. Why? Because it was at the level of the problem. We have to get clear about this reality and how it functions. And if we are going to make a difference, we have to heal the level of the problem inside of us. And it's very triggering. This is not easy work. This is the work of true healers. This is the work of true shamans and true Christians, who people, the story about Jesus Christ is that Jesus Christ was able to meet everyone at their level with love. He met the prostitute at the level with love. He met everything is at the level, wherever it is, you bring everything into love, because that is the only thing that transcends. And if you don't love yourself, if you're still holding wounds and trauma around the things that have happened in your life, you have to apply love to those parts. Otherwise, you're just going to be triggered in the world right now, because it's dark as fuck. There is no other way to do it. Everything is going to trigger you if you have not healed your own internal indiscretions. If you have not removed the log from your own eye, you're going to continue to perpetuate the narratives, the belief systems, the rage, the anger that you have not adjusted inside of yourself yet. All right, y'all. I just wanted to come in and share, because the world is changing. We're moving into the age of Aquarius, and that old way of being, of blaming and pointing, and it's not going to work anymore. It's over with. I hope I'm making sense. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye.